Tax.
Okay, so we're starting the last
Mhm.
uh, part of our mock interview, and let's do some coding tasks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so listen carefully. I will explain what you need to do. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to create a method that input parameter one of that will be just a string, and second parameter will be character. And you need to calculate, for example, how many times that character included into that string.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to
Okay.
return some value.
Mm-hmm. I think I got it.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Let's first create this class. Um, don't you mind if I implement it in one class, maybe?
okay, let's do what what you
Uh-huh.
are going to do, and then we can discuss your solution.
Okay. Mm, uh, uh, First, let's create the main method string args.
Mhm.
That's the method from which we will invoke our implemented method. So public integer, I suppose. That's the tricky part, how to call it. Okay, how many times? Let's keep it like that.
I'm not sure
Uh,
that's the best, but okay, let's keep it for now.
uh-huh. Uh, so yeah, we will return some integer.
Mhm.
As you said, on input we have string,
Mhm.
input string, let's say like that, and then character. Okay, first we need to create this integer. The amount. First, initially it would be equals to 0. Then we should take the input string
Mhm.
and create a char array. Input array. Let's call it input array. We create this, and here we place all the chars from input string.
Okay.
Yes. Then we should create maybe a loop that will repeat this input array length times.
Mhm.
So we can scan every char in this array. Then what we can do? We create a condition if the input char equals input array current element, then we adjust the amount of this value. Oh, sorry. Okay, amount plus plus, and maybe that's all. Actually, we return amount.
Mhm.
And now let's give it a try. How many times? I think it should be static. 2. That's yes. Okay, let's make it static. For example, string QWERTY, the most simple, and the char Q. Yes, and let's system out println this so we can see the results. Put it there. Maybe we can, before the start, we can add more tests like
Okay.
here. This should be 2, and okay, let's start with that. I think it works. So for the first string, it's 1 Q. Yes. I think that's all.
What about other test cases? Are you going to check that? What if it will be not Q, for example, but I don't know, A, what it will be?
Let's check it. It returns null, so I think it's like working as expected.
Okay, sure. And also, you're using just system out println. Could you rewrite it using tests and some assertions? Just an example, create one assertion. Probably it will be not even in the main package. You have a test package here.
So should I place test in G or something to pull maximal L,
I
or
think by
just
default it will be JUnit, so you can use it.
okay? Let me go to Maven Central. I don't know if you see my screen, but
I think it's already included, but
yeah, already.
you can try like open it, create a new class, and add test annotation. What it will be.
Let's try it. I don't think so. It
Okay, so
doesn't.
then you need
Okay.
to add a new dependency.
Okay, let's try this. We open our POM.xml.
Oh yeah, you don't have
Dependent.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely empty project. And then we should re-import. So maybe it will be working now. Yeah, it's what? Not really.
Something strange, but okay.
Test for JUnit. Maybe. Well, are not allowed here. Okay, and maybe if we do it like this, we should be allowed to make it before override. Okay, not to waste much time, let's keep it like this. I think it will be worked. So we should, I think we should static. Oh, no, it's static. So we shouldn't instantiate this. So maybe we can try it like this. How many times? Like the previous, let's take the previous test cases. Let's take maybe, no, 2 of them, because second and third and first is quite similar. We will take the positive and the negative. Mhm.
Should it be in real life in the same method, like several assertion, or it's good to have some
Oh, no, no,
atomic
no.
scenarios?
No. It should be atomic scenarios, of course. Thank you for a hint, because I think that we're gonna do it like this.
Mhm.
Not test method. It's let's say happy path or positive test, and other test would be negative path.
Do we have a negative here? What do you mean by negative?
Mm, by the negative, I mean that actually, yeah, it's positive, because we just use the main function without
Yeah,
breaking it.
you don't have any
Yeah.
exceptions here and etc.
Mhm. Okay, so I suppose that we should rename it. Okay, has char, let's say, and not have char, doesn't have char. No, okay. Char, not have char. At least
Great,
this would be
great.
understandable. And then assert um, assert equals
You have assert array equals, not assert equals.
yes, you're right. Assert string equals
It has everything, but not. Well, you think something like that, yeah.
long plot. Okay, let's try this. So expected object, this would be object actual, and this would be expected. Looks like this, and
okay, let's run it. Is it working? Okay, it's working. Let's try to break it so it will be failed. Just to check that. Usually you need to check it, like it could be false positive or false negative scenario.
Yeah, looks
Okay,
like it failed
looks
an
like it's
assertion.
written correctly. Okay, so you can fix it and then complete second one.
Yes. We take this. It doesn't have char, so we expect null, 0. I mean, okay, let's try this and separate. It passes, okay, and then all of them, yes, looks like working.
Great. Yeah, I think naming should be improved. Can you please return back to main? Like, for example, not how many times, but like, I don't know, count occurrences or get number of occurrences, some kind of that. But it's actually, you can do it easy way.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're saying. You're just
refactoring.
refactor, yeah. Yes, refactor name. Count. Oh no, count of occurrences. Maybe it's even written right. No.
And I see also 13 line. highlighted for word for. How you can rewrite it?
Enhanced. Maybe
Was
for
it?
each.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Enhanced for, actually, it's some kind of for each. If you will click on it, it will actually do it for you in IDE. But do not do not. I ask you, do not use it. Please do it manually. But okay.
Okay. Let's do it manually. Of course. Let's
Okay.
comment it.
Not wait
What?
our time. Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
wanted to discuss one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Is it okay to return 0 if, for example, it's QWERTY and we are having A as search item? Yeah.
In terms of our logic,
Actually, you wrote the first scenario here. But what if our input string will be null? What is going to happen? And it's a question about what is primitive types in Java and not primitive types. String is a primitive type and char, int, and actually, what's the difference?
String is not a primitive type, as I know. Primitive type is kind of, no, it's not just. Okay, let's start with the reference types. Reference types are basically links to the objects. So when you write something
Yeah.
with the reference types, you write a link to the object that will exist during runtime.
Okay, so it's a
And
keyword. Okay, let's stick on that. So
mhm.
it's an object, and key things in object that it could be a null reference to an object. But you didn't wrote such scenarios. Could you please fix that?
Oh, okay. Uh,
No, input char cannot be null. It's primitive type.
mhm.
It should be still A, for example. But for input string, we can pass null value.
No. All right.
Okay.
And it's not char.
This is a negative testing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
We found negative testing.
Articles. I think it will fail because it won't be null. It may be, yes, null pointer exception.
Okay, can you please fix it? So we don't want to have null pointer exception. Maybe we still wanted to have an exception, but
Mm-hmm.
something other way. Oh, could you please print in that way your own exception that will throw some error like we
Mm-hmm.
cannot find occurrences in null string. You should have exist like string should be exist. Some kind of
Mm-hmm.
it. Not in a
Okay.
test. It should be in the
Ah.
method itself.
Uh. Yes. Okay. Let me think a little bit. Uh, so the you wanted to you wanted this to be printed out, this phrase that we
Not
cannot.
just print it out, you can use exceptions here, like your own exception. Okay, before
Mm-hmm.
that, let's discuss exceptions. What do you think is structure of all your exceptions in Java? So what they inherited from. So before that, it was null pointer exception. What can you tell about that?
I think the all exceptions are inherited from the exception class. The exceptions can be two kinds, checked and unchecked.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose that checked exceptions is already predefined exceptions in the language itself, so it has a text already, so it's built in Java exceptions. And unchecked, mm, it's kind of other exceptions that are not defined in Java.
Mm-hmm. What do
Mm.
you know about compile time issue and runtime time issue? Like,
Compile time issue is an issue that occurred on a compile time. For example, if we press this button, like build
mhm,
project, it will start to compile, and if compiler finds some issues, it will stop the building and let you know on which line you are wrong.
mhm,
And compile issues are much more recognizable than runtime issues, because runtime issues you can acquire already when you compile and start your program. So there you will never know where it's not obvious when you can have runtime issues. And second difficulty is that a runtime issue can you can observe it in a far way out of its reason.
mhm.
So you will have to investigate a lot of to understand the root cause.
Okay, okay, okay. So how to handle checked and unchecked exception?
Uh, Checked exceptions you can handle with the try catch block,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know. Unfortunately, about unhandled exceptions, may
Unchecked.
unchecked. Oh yeah, unchecked. I can make an assumption that you can create your own exceptions and also handle it with try catch as a variant, but it's an assumption because I haven't worked with unchecked exceptions.
Uh, it's hard to believe. Null pointer exception is unchecked exception.
Oh, so I'm not right. Okay.
Okay, so for unchecked exception, only try catch block will work. But for
Mm-hmm.
checked exception, there is a keyword throwable that you can
Mm-hmm.
use after the signature. So for example, here, if you will try to do something with file system, I don't know, input, output, streams, and
Mm-hmm.
etc., then IDE already, oh, okay, you're working with files, probably you will forget to close the stream and etc. So you need to add checked IO exceptions, input
Mm-hmm.
output exception, and
It
it
will
will be
force me.
handled by default. But
Mm-hmm.
still, if you wanted your own handling, you can surround it with try catch block. But IDE cannot do default null pointer exception behavior. You need to write it down. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
here you have two options. You can surround it with try catch block to parse null pointer exception and then do something like send your own message.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use keyword throw and throw your exception immediately after you're checking that input string is null. Please use one of the approach, what you think is better
Mm-hmm.
here. Actually, for me, one is better than another. And then we will try to run your test.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not even applicable, but you can try
I
and then
also think it's not even applicable because
Because you need to throw another exception, maybe runtime or any other thing. I think it's for our case, it will be okay to run not null pointer exception, but just runtime exception and pass some text to it. So
I mean, in try block, I
no,
must
no, not
perform.
in try block. In not in even in block at all. You can just use word throw. Do you know about that? No, it's not
Uh,
not
uh-huh.
in signature. It should be
Mm-hmm.
inside the body of method. Write
Okay,
here like
let's
throw
see.
new exception, and then you will see.
I think maybe throw.
Not from capital. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay. Runtime exception. Uh-huh.
No, runtime
And
exception is a type of exception. Like it's a separate class.
mm-hmm. I think we should implement something if else or if
Yeah, yeah,
state.
yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to check that you'll be able to try throw an exception. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Equals null. Then
Great.
it's not very good formatting, but okay. New
Okay.
exception. So you mean there?
Now, when you're using new exception, what you actually are doing?
Creating new class.
New object, you
Uh,
mean, by constructor.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And null pointer exception, uh, actually, you don't need null pointer exception. You need runtime exception, for example. It's another class, so you just need to use new runtime exception.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Exception.
then as an argument, you can pass any string, like please add any non-empty string.
Uh-huh. Okay. Maybe.
One less. Okay.
And what does he want from me? He said semicolon expected, but um,
Yes, semicolon expected.
but it's not
You,
stopping.
you have not the same amount of closing and open brackets here.
Yeah, you're right. Huh?
Okay, fixed. Why it's
So,
highlighted on the line 11?
it proposes. It's always false. He thinks that it's always false.
Yeah, because of tests.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's move to our test. Okay, now we need to fix that test.
Mm.
So here we are
Uh,
not asserting that it will return any value. We need to assert that it will throw specific exception. Do you know
mm-hmm.
how to do that?
Let's try to understand throws. Uh, so yeah, let's try this. Expect approval. Runtime exception. Expression expected, maybe. No. Mm,
I think it should be class, like dot class, runtime exception dot class. No?
no one's complaining.
Okay,
What?
let me Google it.
with an int is not compatible with throwing. Whenever we have int, we don't have int.
Yeah, actually, I said it correctly. You need to write down runtime exception.class.
Mhm.
But what?
Make return. So he proposes this, but I don't think changing parent class is a good idea.
Yeah, in examples, I see that they using lambda expression. Do you know something about that?
Yes, I know something about that.
Yeah, after like in the second part of that input parameter for a set rows, you just need open and close in brackets, then arrow parameter, and then in the body you need to use your main count of occurrences. I can even send it to you to chat. Like example.
I think I remember the syntax. Let's try it this way. Maybe I confused. So this is input parameter. This is lambda and expected. Okay, let's try this.
Okay, now try to break it because maybe it's not working every time.
Okay, let's.
Null string. Yeah, it should be working as a string. Yeah, expected exception, but nothing was thrown. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay, probably that's all. So as you see, it's not so easy. Yeah, you forgot about checking on null. Yeah, and also when we are returned back to our solution, you also mentioned that you worked with Java 8. How do you think it could be implemented without using for, but with something that was implemented starting from Java 8?
I suppose it is streams maybe. So, but it's only a theoretical assumption because I didn't work with streams, unfortunately.
At all? You don't know anything about it?
Yes.
Okay, it's sad thing.
Maybe I.
I think you just need to learn something about that because it's pretty useful starting from Java 8 and it has several benefits comparing to what you have here. Because starting from Java 8, it actually introduced a lot of things about functional programming, functional interfaces, and then you have a function and it's like consumer, producer, etc. So different functions. It could even be functional, etc. And it's a big article, big topic for doing that. It's not only streams, but inside streams you can use a lot of other things. So I think because here when you just start with the solutions that you done, it's actually working, but it's just straightforward solution. So when I will see someone who just did that, it for me it's more like junior level. You just need to mention at least there is an option to write it down with Java 8 with Stream API. So using streams, it's pretty the same. So in real life, if someone will create pull requests with such code, I could be even approve it. Like there is no much difference between Stream API and such code, but in more difficult ways, sometimes just to know that it could be done with Stream API, it's good to know. You can just tell on real interviews that, okay, I have several options with for, with Stream API,
Mm-hmm.
And the result could be a lot of other things. You can use any libraries, for example, Guava library or maybe Apache library has already count matches methods, so you don't need even
Mm.
implement it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even use regular expression here. Do you know something about regular expression? What it's
Yes,
needed
yes.
for?
Yes, it's kind of advanced searching templates, and you can search pretty much everything with regular expressions.
Okay, so probably that's all from my side.
Mm,
We're done with
okay.
technical part, we're done with coding part. Do you have anything to add or maybe additional feedback?
Maybe if we performed a real interview, I would say in is the last phrase that yes, thank you. Actually, it's true. Thank you very much for the interesting task and interesting interview, and that you performed this for me. And if I would talk to some potential employer, I would say that I'm looking forward to the feedback and yes, that's all. By the way, I forgot about the real questions. Maybe we should mention it after. I would ask also about, as you mentioned on previous meeting, that maybe I should ask about potential points of growing when I have a lack of knowledge, but you already mentioned. Um, and ask about something like what's your typical working day on your project,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
or uh, yes, and that's
yeah.
all.
Okay, got it. So, yeah, from my standpoint of view, it's okay, but just try to add one more solution.
Mm-hmm.
Think about edge cases even before.
Mm-hmm.
So think about null pointer exception. It could be even more edge cases. For example, what if our string will be so big so that our int value will be bigger than max int value? What it will be?
Mm-hmm.
And it also will be an issue because for max int value, it's some specific number. But what
Uh-huh.
if we are passing the whole book as an input string?
Yeah,
Maybe
and
it will
on
exceed input integer. So you need to
uh-huh.
have not integer, but for example, long or some kind of it. So it's also a
And
possible issue.
on the intro you will spend half of an hour of a time to paste this huge string, to copy paste it, to generate it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
kidding.
and we will implement input output. So we will try check the exception. Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
um, so thank you for attending that mock interview. I hope it will be
yeah.
helpful for you, so you will be able to pass the real interview and find a good project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
So good luck with that and see you. Have a nice day.
See you.